What's up, everybody? Grind and Shine Recovery. As always, hit that like, share, subscribe, become part of the recovery family. We're here with Matt Townz to kind of share his story and his journey of recovery. Tell everybody kind of who you are and what you do, Matt.
My name's Matt Townz. I'm a recovering meth and opiate addict, and I'm a hip hop artist.
Heck yeah, man. So, kind of walk us through, I guess, your addiction. What led up to you getting pretty deep into stuff.
I'd say what really led to it was when I started going to doctors and getting prescribed pain like I got my first prescription of pain medication probably when I was like 14, 15 years old. And I think I was probably 15. And then I took it, and then by the time, just from getting that one prescription, by the time I was 15, by the time I was 16, I was already in full-blown addiction by then. It started with prescription painkillers like hydrocodone. It started with that, and then just gradually got deeper.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess kind of talk about what led up to where you had some legal issues and you really decided you had to, what were the things that led up to you deciding to kind of
go? I went to jail on felony charges, and when I went to jail, I thought I was going to quit then, but I ended up not even quitting. And so I knew that if I stayed at home, that I wasn't going. I knew if I stayed home, I wasn't gonna. There was no way I was gonna be able to stay clean. So I moved. And I moved down to Florida, and it's even when I moved to Florida, it still took me a while before I actually got sober.
Yeah,
it took me a while.
No, I know myself. I went through quite a few times.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, kind of what happened in Florida? Were you in like a sober living or a halfway house?
I went through detox, and then I went to a sober living house. It was in a halfway house. I got a job. I started working 2 jobs, and then after I got a year was when I finally moved back home.
Heck yeah. So, what I think you're at 3 years. I know you're strong. You were talking about 3 years.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Now, in your song, I heard you mention being on Kratom, which I'm a supporter of different forms of maintenance.
All right. I just had a big, huge disagreement, and I'll tell you why. Just like what I said in the beginning about going to the doctors and getting prescriptions, like if you look at the back of my mouth, I got teeth missing. I deal with a lot of teeth pain, and I've had dentists try to give me painkillers, and I've took them before, but I don't like taking them. It's very sketchy.
Yeah,
it makes me feel uncomfortable.
You know what's going to happen.
I know what's going to happen. It makes me feel uncomfortable. So I started taking the Kratom when I don't take it all the time now.
Okay.
But I take it when my mouth hurts.
Yeah.
And after that, the reason I wrote that song that I wrote was I wasn't putting nobody down. Everybody's got opinions. Yeah. And that was basically my point of the song. Like I had people try to tell me that I wasn't sober no more. And I was like, and the way I look at it is I come from where I was shooting meth, like, just like I said in the song, like I was sticking a needle in my arm between 5 and 10 times a day. So like the way, I mean, for me, if I was going to relapse, I wouldn't beat around the bush and mess around with something like that. I'd just dive full straight back into it.
For sure. And that's the thing is I know people who use the Kratom as a maintenance type.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah.
And I support that, man. I mean, if you're able to get your life together and get on track because you're on, whether it be Suboxone or whether it be, Kratom, whatever, if you're using it, there's a difference between use and abuse. If you're using it to not put a needle in your arm and that's helping you work and do a normal life, I fully support that,
Yeah. And another reason because I'm very transparent with the people who follow me and because like I don't really look at my followers as like fans. Like a lot of them message me on a daily basis. Like I talk to a lot of these people every day. So I I probably tell people more about my life than I should. But the whole point of me writing that song was like letting people know that this is what I'm doing, because if I try to be honest, I want to be completely honest about everything. So I just went ahead and let everybody know.
For sure, man.
Yeah, that's the way it, because I feel like it's better to go ahead and let everybody know, because then you ain't got nothing to hide.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and you're like you said, you're being transparent, and that's part of working a program is being honest, and that shows, like I said, you weren't out to abuse it because you're being honest and open about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I definitely respect that, man. And it's a quality of life thing. That's what I tell people is, if you got to white knuckle it and you're going to be miserable, but you could be on a form of maintenance, then do whatever's going to be best for your life,
I've seen just like I told you on the last one. I know people who do the maintenance to Suboxone and it helps them. I've seen it helping. I've seen it save a lot of lives. But my story was different. Like I abused it. And that wasn't the drugs' fault. That wasn't the Suboxone's fault. That was my fault. I abused it. But
sure.
I didn't use it for the right reasons. Just like you said a minute ago, there's a difference in doing something for the right reasons and abusing it. And that's why I started doing that instead of having to take real painkillers, because I realized real quick of how quick you can be doing something for the right reason and then it turned into the wrong reason. I was afraid that it was going to take me back. So I said, I got to figure something else out.
For sure. And that's yourself well enough that, not to put yourself in that spot. So kind of tell everybody about going from being in a halfway house to being in the studio with someone like Jelly Roll.
Oh yeah. No, I went to detox and then I was in a PHP program. And after I was in the PHP program, I had a guy hit me up and I started doing music. I had a mic, and because I was doing music before I got sober, I had a mic and a laptop at my house, and I called my mom and asked her if she would mail whenever I got to the level in treatment where I could have my laptop and all that. My mom mailed it to me in the mail, and I started recording I was recording in the bathroom of the halfway house, and then I had a guy hit me. I met a guy at a meeting. He was the first guy to take me through the steps. Very first guy I met him at a meeting and he said, "Hey, I got this studio. You want to come try it?" He was my sponsor, but we were hitting the studio together.
For real?
Yeah, like he was sponsoring me, took me through the steps, and we hit the studio together. It took a couple times. We went to a couple of different studios, and then we finally found the one we wanted to use. And he called me one day and he said, "I got a guy wanting to know if we want to open up for Jelly Roll." And so I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then he called about 2 days later and he said, "If we want to do a song with Jelly Roll, we can." And so we went ahead, and I think I had 4 months at the time. I had been clean like 4 months. And we met Jelly at the studio one night. We recorded the song, and then the next day we performed the show with him.
That's awesome, man.
He's a good dude, bro. Like he's one of the most humble artists I've ever met.
Yeah, that's one thing I really, man, what he's done is just crazy, because coming from where he came from and just doing what he's done, man, you got to admire somebody to do that, So what do you do? I mean, how do you, being in the music industry, what do you do? I mean, how do you balance that with being at shows where stuff might be going on, kind of? You know what I mean? How do you balance that?
I limit myself, and I'm very I'm a very sketchy person most of the time. Like even if it's somebody I know, it can be somebody I know and they offer, hey, you can stay at my house. I don't even like doing that. I'd rather just get my own motel room. And I like doing shows. I go do shows, but I'll be honest with you. I don't like leaving the house and going on the road consistently for like a month, 2 months at a time, because I just feel like that's a recipe for disaster for me.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know yourself, man. And
but I still go like I go do shows. I'll go. I'm actually gonna be in Florida in April. I'm going back to Florida.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna do a show down there.
Heck yeah.
But I tried. I mean, it's something I kind of got used to, because when I first got sober, I had already made my mind up. I wanted to work a program. I wanted to get sober. So being around it, I was performing at clubs where there was a lot of drinking. You could smell the weed, but all the people I was with were all in recovery. So I had a lot of people there that they had a lot more time than I did at the time, but all of them had like a year and a half, 2 years, and I only had a few months. So they pretty much took me under their wing and took care of me and made sure I was okay being in that environment.
That's awesome.
So they in a way, I guess you could say they helped me learn how to be able to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's who you surround yourself with. That's the main thing. Like you
see, that's why when I moved back home, I have a lot of friends I grew up with that I still love, man. I still love them like their family, but I can't hang out with them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I can't.
Yep. No, I got family. It's the same situation because, my brother, I could visit him here and there, but I can't really kick it. You know what I mean? I can't be around him. And that's
especially having kids now. I got to watch who I bring around my kids and all that.
Yeah, it's a whole other level, man.
Yeah.
And it's awesome that you realize that, man, and you got it together like you do at your age, man. What message would you share with anyone out there still using, man? What would you tell them?
I probably said this the last time, and this is what I always say to people because it messed me up for a long time. Never try to do it for somebody else. If you want to get sober, you got to do it for yourself.
That's man.
That's why I went to so many rehabs. I tried to go for my mom one time. My dad wanted me to get sober. I tried to go for my dad. And every time I even tried to get sober for my son. But when I finally said, okay, I want to do this for me because this is what I want, that's when
I changed. Yeah, and that's the truth of it, man.
Now, don't get me wrong. I used my son and my family as motivation, but I had to do it for me.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm glad you said that because, yeah, you like I stay clean. My daughter's a huge motivation to me staying clean.
Yeah.
But I gotta want it for myself, or I'm not gonna stay sober. I'm not gonna make the decisions like you're talking about, where I make sure I have sober people around me or them things. And I think that's really what makes the difference. Is if you really want it for yourself, you'll go ahead and take them extra steps like we're talking about with having to cut certain people off. It's not that we want to, but if we want to keep what we have, that's what we have to do.
Yeah, and sometimes it has to be family.
Yep. No, and like I said, I deal with that myself, man. Well, Matt, I appreciate you coming back on so much, man.
Hey, anytime, bro. Anytime you want me to come on here, you can just message me, and I'll figure out a day, and we'll do it. Anytime,
man.
Yeah, man.
And share with everybody. I mean, what kept you motivated with the music? Because you're starting to have some success and stuff. I mean,
all right. I'll say this. I will say this. I feel like it's crazy to me, honestly, because I'll sit here and think about when I was in the trap house and doing all this, and I was like, I'm here now. Like it's mind blowing.
Yeah,
it's mind blowing. But I just told somebody this literally last night. Last night I told somebody, I said, I don't regret nothing I did, because if I wouldn't have went through all of that, I wouldn't be able to write the type of music I write.
For sure.
But
and the music, man, that I want to touch on that real quick. I listen to your music a lot because, you know, to me, when I was using, I still can listen to music that I used to back in the day, and it puts me in a different spot, you know?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of positive recovery type music out there. There's like you and Kalichi, you know, that's pushing that positive message. So I admire that, man.
Mm-hmm. But what I guess, I think I told you this one time when we talked, but I remember having like 30 days, and I had rapped for the people in rehab, just messing around. Like they'd pull up beats on YouTube on the TV, and I'd rap for them, just joking around. And they was like, you need to rap. Like they were pushing me. They were like, you need to rap. And I mean, one dude that meant, I hated it. One dude that meant so much to me, his name was Steve. He died of an overdose. He was one of the ones that pushed me to do this. He was like, bro, you got it. He was like, you got to stay sober and rap, and you can do it. And I remember I had about 30 days sitting in that. It was a PHP program. It's kind of like a halfway house. I just couldn't leave.
Okay.
And we were staying in a house. It was treatment, but I couldn't leave. And I remember sitting there, and I was sitting by all of them one day, and it was quiet. I was being quiet. I wasn't saying nothing. And finally I turned and looked at all of them, and I said, F it, I'm going to rap. And ever since then, I started rapping, and I ain't looked back.
Hey, man, it's an awesome message, man, and it's inspiration, man. It really is, bro.
It helped me because when I first when you first get off of it, you still have those thoughts. The first little bit, them thoughts still come in your head. So every time I get those thoughts, I just get a pencil and a pad and start writing. That was my way of getting out of myself.
For sure, and that's the thing is, you know, we put our identity in the drugs, you know, where we do it for so long. So like when we first get sober, like you said, we don't know how to not think about them until we start like doing something positive, and then, you know, filling our time with that, you know. So.
But another thing is I've told people this, like I'm growing with music every day. But I tell people all the time, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I could stay in the same spot I'm in right now, and I'd be content, because I've got just enough people I feel like I'm doing what I was supposed to do. I feel like God, I don't know. That's just the way I feel. I feel like I went through that so I could write this music for people.
For sure, man. And your music's definitely touching people and helping people, man. Like I said, the music's such an inspirational tool, man.
And it's, to me, it's cool having, like, I have a decent fan base, but it's cool having it kind of small to where I can interact with everybody. I don't want it to be so big. I wouldn't want to have a fan base so big where I can't talk to nobody, because I want to talk to the people who are listening to the music I'm making so I can get to know these people.
Yeah, no, and that's one thing, like I see in your lives and stuff, you know, and you've always been good about getting back with me, man, is you interact with your fan base, and you know, you do actually try to help people, man.
Yeah.
And that's an admirable thing, man. Because
I just feel like that's what it's all about. Like, people helped me to get here, so I feel like it's only right for me to give back and help others.
Hey, that's what I do it for too, man. Is I know somebody did it for me, and you know, me getting out of myself and trying to help others is what keeps me busy from you know, and not to relapse. So
yeah,
man, I appreciate you so much for coming on, brother.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no problem.
All right, brother. I'm gonna cut it off now. Hang tight a second.
All right.